Sahana vavatu, sahano bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahe, tejasvinavaditamastu, ma vedvishavahe. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Deva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapiyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Narshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Shri Chinmaya Satgurave Namaha. Om Shri Chinmaya Satgurave Namaha. Om Shri Chinmaya Satgurave Namaha. So we're doing newborns to about 4-year-olds is the toddler age group, and I would say this is the easiest age to parent. No, you don't think so? Yeah?
Physically more demanding, but
yeah.
Everything else, it's easier.
Yeah, it is physically demanding, which is where you need a village to bring up a kid really comes in. I'm sure you've heard this phrase, you need a village to bring up a kid, and I think it applies the most at this age, although I think it applies at every age. Because if you look back on your childhood, I'm sure you've learned so much from elder cousins and so much from I remember even neighbors, because we lived in a very, South Africa was like mini India, and so everybody on the street was Indian, because we were forced to live in that part of town. And we were in and out of each other's houses. And it was actually incredible because we saw how our house was, and we saw how different everybody else's house was, but also how the same everybody else's house was. And this idea of, and this is actually very applicable at this age group for y'all, is this age, let's start again. In a way, it's the easiest age group to teach because 0 to 4, they don't really fight you. Not really. Wait till they get to 5. Already at 4, right? They start with their opinions and things like that. At 0 to 4, you don't really need to discipline. Mainly because they don't understand it. And so the best way here, if they're doing something you don't want them to do, you just distract. And they're so incredibly easily distracted. So that's also makes things easier. Plus, because they're physically so small, you know you have in terms of food and sleep and in terms of physical well-being. but maybe we underestimate just how important that is for them. So in terms of they are literally creating their foundation at this age in terms of their body and in terms of their brain. So their brain is forming, it's developing in terms of cognition and in terms of intelligence. And so the way that our brain grows, one is water, two is the food we eat, mainly sugar. I don't know if y'all know this. The thing that nourishes our brain the most is water and sugar. Most other nutrients is for the rest of our body. So the type of sugar you put into a kid makes a very, very significant difference. The type of sugar we put into us makes a difference, but it's okay because we're so much bigger and we're a little bit more resilient. So the example I'll usually give is if you put a teaspoon of salt in a glass of water, the effect it has, versus a teaspoon of salt in a bucket of water. So we the bucket, there's a lot more of us, and that sugar gets distributed and it doesn't have much effect. But because they're so small, it has a huge effect on them. And that's why also with medication, we have to give them so much less, right? Because they're so much smaller. So the brain needs sugar to develop, but processed sugar is the equivalent of giving them, to us, alcohol. Yeah. So they need sugar for their brain to develop, and then it's things like fruits and what you get in pumpkin and what you get in all of that. But I don't think there's actually a lot of literature out there on how harmful sugar is for them. I don't think it gets given enough importance because far too often we see them having sugar. And I have definitely seen the effects of it. So if you can, until they go to school, just don't give it to them. Because it's the way their brain is developing. Now the tricky thing here is you can do it with the first kid, and then the first kid, whatever the first kid is doing, the younger one copies. And so the younger one tends to end up having everything earlier, right? As much as you can. The kind of food that goes in matters less as we get older, but it really matters in these initial years. Even the quality of sleep. It matters even when we are older. It matters a lot more at this age because the growing happens in sleep. And that's why I said this is easy. Put them to sleep, feed them the right thing, tick. When they get older, you have to say the right thing, figure out which activities to get them to do, which activities not to get them to do. It's a lot more thinking. Here, there's so many studies on how much they need to sleep, what kind of food they need to eat, and it's all fairly, relatively, you can research it and you can do a good job on it. It's also fairly easy to control what goes into their mouths. What goes into their mind, a little bit not as easy to control. So, like I said, their brain is developing, and these 4 years is their foundation. And it's incredible the amount of studies that have been done to show how their brain develops in these 3 or 4 years can pretty much determine the adult they become. Because our brain develops 80% by the time we're 4 years old. Now, even though we can change this at any given point in time, Most of us don't. Most of us don't consciously change what goes in those early initial years. Yeah. So physically, straightforward. Now what else is going in? Absolutely everything you say, everything you do, and everything you feel. So this part of parenting is potentially the hardest. The physical aspect of it, even though it is, you're right, draining, we have a lot of help in Hong Kong. We have helpers, plus a lot of you have families, so you can please use them. For two reasons, right? When you get a break, then you're doing a better job when you're with them. Two, they need the variety. Yeah. Sometimes you think, no, they're not following all the rules. That's when they go and have all the sugar. They need the variety. Yeah. So if you watch a kid's development, there's this amazing point in time where you get to see that they've discovered their own hand. I don't know if you've experienced it. You have, right? It's like such an amazing moment for them that they have hands and they've learned how to use their hands. In the same way, if you know what you're watching for, when you are talking and they're looking intently at you, they're watching to see the shapes your lips are taking for you to talk. They actually noticing which muscles are getting used when you make different expressions. And that's why when you do something weird with your face, they're so intent. One, you're entertaining when you make weird faces, but two, they actually looking to see how are you doing that. And then they copying, so you'll see when I'll say, and I'll exaggerate the sound, they'll do, no sound will come out, but they copy the shape. Okay? So they constantly inputting. From 0 to 4, it's input, 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 input. And then we're going to, we might have maybe not so many nice expressions, or maybe we're just a little bit less expressive. And then you send them off to, I don't know, cousins, grandparents, and then they're so much more expressive, and then they're so much more intrigued, and they're able to see things that they didn't see on your face. Yeah. Even in terms of speech and expressions. Or we all talk with a different lilt, some happier, some more serious. Yeah. And they need to see all this because they need to find in all of that. They learn nuances. So basically what I'm saying, the more they're exposed to, the better. Now one way people do it is because we live in such nuclear families is screens. Not ideal. So we ourselves can have experienced this. When you're looking at somebody's face, it's very different to looking at somebody's face on a screen. Yeah? This is person and the interaction with a person and feeling of person and connection of person. The reaction you get from person, very different to looking at screen. And so it's much better they are with people than with screen. Also, unfortunately, this generation is just going to be on the screen for so much. There's just no out of it, right? Already we're using ChatGPT to write letters and write our emails, and which means they're going to be use it so much sooner, which means they're going to be on screens. And they're going to be talking to computers. We didn't grow up talking to computers. They're going to grow up talking to computers. And once they do, it's going to be easier than talking to people. but it will not ever be as fulfilling. It can't be as fulfilling. So we have to make sure they are with people so that they create that connection with people. Because it's changing so quickly, right? Yeah. We looked at the TV screen as kids. In the family room, there was one TV screen, and we looked at it, not that we didn't. Now, in their prams, they already in their own world on their screen. Now with AI coming, pretty much we're there. It's not like it's coming. It's already here. It's only going to get more. We know it's a part of their lives. We can't change it. You can't ever go backwards. We can't say, no, we won't allow it. We can't. It's there. It's going to be their lives. So to make sure that they have enough balance and they have enough experience so that it creates comfort that they will turn to people. So exposure. So this age group, it's just constant exposure. Now, in a way, with the first kid, we are quite diligent. We take them to, something musical, very, very good, important, very great for their development of their brain. Music is comforting, it's creative, it's expressive. So if possible, and usually it is possible, something to do with music. Also, most classes to do with this age group will incorporate a certain amount of music, which helps. And it's because it's so powerful. And so even at home, lots of singing. And sometimes moms will say, I don't know how to sing. The kid doesn't know that. Nor does the kid care. Some of my happiest memories are road trips that we used to do, where we used to all just sing. And then it becomes this, also when you have music, it becomes this anchor that they can go back to. So even when they're much older and they go off to university, I know that's a long ways away, but it will happen before, like this, and they're already going off to university. It's interesting that they'll play that song. They'll listen to that to feel home, to feel safe. So even at home, even if you don't consider yourself to be a good singer, please make sure there is music, singing, whatever it is that you are singing to them, with them, because they'll very quickly join, They very, very quickly start joining in or humming it to themselves. So exposure to music. And then also incredibly important to expose them to physical activity. It doesn't have to be full-on sports, and that's why Jimaru is so popular. It's excellent. Why? Because our brain actually develops with movement. And so, I don't know if you've seen in the, when our Indian families have babies, they'll do these massages where they're doing aerobics with the kids. And then some people think, Westerners don't do all this. Why you all want to put all this oil and all this on my baby? Leave my baby alone. It's actually activating all the necessary parts of the brain using movement. You need movement to activate the parts of the brain. And so actually quite important, those massages and that constant movement and making sure they're constantly moving. Another reason to reduce screen time. So the screen stimulates their brain, but it doesn't activate cognitive processes. Now, I know it's much easier with the first one. When the second one comes and the first one's on the screen, the second one also wants to watch the screen. And I know it's easier to just give them a screen. But as much as possible, make them move and play more than be on a screen. Because like I said, the minute they start school and they meet all the other kids, then they're going to do what all the other kids do. So you don't have long before they come in making their own demands. It's literally only the first 3 years before they start making their own demands. So exposure to music, exposure to something physical, ideally language. To expose them to language at this age as well. If you know language, then if you don't, you don't. But if you do know more than one language, it's very, very beneficial to expose them to it. You see kids growing up in Europe where they know 3 languages. You see kids growing up in India where they know 3 languages. And it's actually such an incredible tool to have your whole life. Even living here in Hong Kong, if you know Chinese, life is so much easier. Yeah. But also, different languages help, again, in cognitive processes. It also expands our thinking, because every language has a certain amount of logic, a certain kind of humor. And so it just kind of completely broadens our vision. So going back to the basic, these first 4 years is inputting. Just everything's going in. And so we make sure physically all the right things go in terms of what's easy to make sure goes in there: music, movement, language. Now the thing that's not as easy is they copying not just how your muscles are moving, they copying what you're doing, but also how you're feeling. And they copying your values, they copying your relationship style, they copying your emotions. You'll be amazed how much they know about you. I have watched a 2-year-old totally play their parent. They are such good con artists. And you think they're too innocent, they have no idea, there is no way that they totally playing me. They totally playing you. Because if you think about it, all day long, they just absorbing everything that's you. They've understood you so well. They know exactly where to poke to get you to do what they want you to do. Initially at this age, they poke just to see what reactions there are. And then human nature, even we do it, right? We do it with our siblings all the time. You poke, they react, we love it. We poke harder, they react more. It's entertaining for us. In the same way, it's entertaining for them that they get a reaction. At this age, it's very sweet. At this age, when they're doing it, it's adorable, it's cute. It's very dangerous if you don't know that they're playing you. Because the minute they fall, it stops being cute. And they end up being spoiled. Until day 3, it's fine, huh? Because they are innocent. Yeah. It's just wonder. And you'll see it. If you have an older kid, you would have already seen it by now. If you haven't, I assure you, because I see generation after generation. From age 4 to age 5, their face changes. Their face completely changes. The features stay the same. The height might stay the same, but their face changes. You all have older ones, you all have seen it.
They like lost their baby fat. Maybe it's more.
They don't just lose their baby fat. They lose their innocence and their face changes.
I really thought that, yeah, but I thought it was the baby fat.
There's lots who don't have baby fat. And there's some who keep the fat, which is still very cute, right? But the face still changes. Age 5, innocence gone. Now if they're playing you, terrible. So, they are absorbing everything about you. So they can still be playing you, huh? Just because they're adorable, don't let them play you. And then again, you can't discipline them. What do you have to do? Distract. So you literally have to have a bag of tricks. Yeah. Toys, and then the best distract, I'm telling you, is music. You just start singing with them. They'll forget what they were doing. They'll happily start singing. Yeah. Movement, game, sound, person. Yeah. If you have a pet, amazing distract. The minute you see that they're starting to play you, distract. Don't let it keep going. Although it is adorable at this age. It's adorable to see that they can do it. And they do it a lot more playfully, innocently, intriguingly. You can really tug at the heartstrings because they know you so well. Okay, so coming back to they know you so well. To be a good parent, essentially, you have to really be the best you can be, because that's what they're copying. So if you look back now at your life, have you become a lot like your parents? Yes? No? No? Most of us become our parents. Some good bits, some not so good bits. If you lived in an extended family like I did, you become your grandparents as well. So, they're going to become you. This is the hardest bit about parenting. If you don't want them to have something, you have to make sure you don't have it. And if you want them to have something, you have to have it. I say this often. Please send them to Balvihar so I can teach them lots of virtues and values. But even though you send them to Balvihar, they won't become like me. They'll still become like you. Because the amount of time you spend with them. And also the amount that they love you and they need you. So of course we can't all suddenly become these picture perfect people overnight. We're going to be who we are. But at least know that you're passing it on to them, and then you can make a more conscious choice about whether you want to be doing that, thinking that, feeling that. So sometimes, and so this is where how you are as a couple also strongly, strongly, strongly affects the kid. Yeah. If they see you as a couple getting along, they see you as a couple supporting each other, then that's what becomes normal in their heads. If they see lots of stress and tension, that's what becomes normal in their head. I know it's a lot of pressure for you, because who doesn't want to just sometimes yell and scream at their spouse? I'm told you'll do off it. So then don't do it in front of the kid. If you are anxious and nervous, that is what they will pick up. It's almost like we feed them food and we feed them emotional habits. Yeah. So if our emotional habit is go to anger, go to sadness, go to fear, that becomes their emotional habit too. Yeah. Like I said, I know it's not easy to change. Even when we're consciously trying to change, it's not easy to change. But to be aware of it, that especially at this age. In fact, it's true for them all ages. Even teenagers will pick up on the emotional state of their parents, and it reflects in their health and in their outlook of life. But teenagers won't let you know how much it bothers them. But at this age, it's very evident. The amount of times I have seen the parent is upset about something, kid starts crying. The parent thinks the kid doesn't know that the parent's upset. Like they don't understand. Something's happening, maybe financially, maybe some politics in the house or something. Parents will assume the kid doesn't know. Yeah, they know. And they will cry sometimes, or they'll get angry. And they literally bouncing off the emotion that you are feeling at that time, which becomes one of the most frustrating things about parenting. Because you have an emotion, and with that emotion, you talking to them, and they reacting to your emotion. So now they have the same emotion. And so they're not listening to what you're saying, they're reacting to your emotion. Then you see their emotion and you get more upset. And this becomes an incredible downward spiral. The more upset you are when talking to them, the more difficult the conversation is going to be. And so actually, it's best not to say anything when you are upset. Which is incredible, because if you're upset a lot, or if you're angry a lot, or if you're stressed a lot, when do you speak to them? Which is why you need a village to bring up a kid. If you're really not in a good place, leave them with someone else. Grandparents are usually very happy to have them. You go in, calm down, come back. Once you've calmed down, that conversation goes a lot better, the disciplining goes a lot better. At this age, you don't discipline so much, but you will need to later on. Yeah. And then sometimes when you think they doing it, rather than realizing they're reacting to you, then you're trying to get them to change, whereas actually at this age, it's you that has to change. At this age, 2, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. It's like, why the kid bad? Why they like that? Then you have to stop and think, what am I feeling? Yeah. Later on, when they get older, they are like that. But at this age, they might be in a cranky mood. Like if you stop and you think, I'm fine, then they're in a cranky mood. But sometimes if you stop and you think, what am I feeling? Oh, they're feeding off me. So a lot of, and when they're very, very small, a lot of it is me calming down. Yeah. And then they'll be fine. Yeah. And then this is where I go back to saying, because we all have different emotions, and before we have different emotional habits, and we have different mechanisms to cope with emotions, it's way healthier for them to see lots of people. You will still always be the most important people in their lives. But if they see lots of people, they're seeing lots of different emotional habits, they're seeing lots of ways of coping with that emotion. Because as a couple, maybe, one of you gets upset and the other one deals with it by sulking. And then somebody else comes along, deals with it with humor. Somebody else comes along, deals with it with annoyance. That whole range, they need to see the whole range. Otherwise they get stuck with the one go-to that you end up doing. And it may not suit their personality in the long run. Yeah. Sometimes when it really doesn't suit their personality, they just won't accept it. And more often than not, they learn. They learn the things we do emotionally. So, also they'll learn our value system. If we are organized, if we are clean, if we are serious, if we are light-hearted, they have their own personalities. 100% they are born with their own personalities, but they will also learn those things from us. Basically, whatever our habits are, they learn those things in the house. And it becomes that's their norm. So at this age, a lot of it is what you feeling, what you doing, what you saying, what you thinking. They just absorbing it. They're just like sponges, completely absorbing it. So expose them to lots. If you have an older kid, they're already exposed to lots. Because older kid is lots of exposure, plus older kids will have friends, which is also great. Because then they get to see all those interactions, which is fabulous. So at this age, we don't really discipline. And there's a lot of watching, like just to make sure they're fine. We tend to say no more often than we need to. Out of protectiveness, but also out of convenience. I'll give you an example. If they're going to touch something like sand, mud, paint, then I'm going to have to bath them and change them. So it's like, no. I get it. I get that you don't want to do extra work. I honestly do. But ideally, that no is not needed. Yeah. And so if your space allows it, I know in America, Australia, they have a lot more space, and so it's easier to do in countries where you have a lot of space. Make a corner where they can make as much mess as they want. Because that exploring is very good for them. And some kids you'll see, they're so much happier when they're messy. Some kids are clean freaks, huh? They actually cry if they get dirty. But there's definitely a significant chunk of them, they're happier when they got paint on them, or they got food on them, or they've got mud on them, and it's their, so like I said, their brain is developing, and it's that tactile intelligence. And so they feel highly stimulated by the feeling of and the doing of mess. So sometimes they're going to do something and it might hurt or a little bit. And they don't get injured so easily at this age, huh? Which is very cool. So again, we're too quick to say no. Yeah. One out of protectiveness, one out of convenience. But guess what's the first word they learn? No. Interesting, isn't it? They're so small and they'll say, no. Why would that be the first word they learn? It's just proof that we are saying it way too often. We actually saying it way too often. And this actually takes creativity on your part. You can find other ways to say it. So if they're reaching for something which maybe isn't ideal, you give them something else. The best thing to do at this age is distract. But that means you have to be quick on your feet to think about it. Yeah. So instead of saying, no, don't touch them, you say, what about this? And if it's not terribly harmful, and again, I know it depends on how much time you have. Sometimes you're so busy you can't do it. But you hold and let them touch rather than don't touch. They'll lose interest fairly fast unless they can sense that you are anxious. If they can sense you are anxious, they don't lose interest in it. They completely reading you. You're laughing, it's true. She doesn't have kids, too young. I've seen it again and again and again. I've even seen on flights when babies are crying and the mom is like, oh, okay, cry if you want to. That baby doesn't cry that long. And on the flight, when the baby cries and the mother's feeling, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, that baby cries the whole flight. Why? Picking up. They're picking up on what you're feeling. But not in the way that you want them to. You want them to, don't make me so anxious. How do they know that you don't want them to, you to? They think anxious, I need to cry. The That's what you do when you feel anxious. So what am I saying? This word no, if we could, I say it, but I also, we do Shishya Vihar, and I'll notice when I'm teaching the Shishya Vihar class how quickly the word no comes. It's actually really hard not to say it. So you have to really be in the right frame of mind. You yourself needed to have slept enough. You yourself needs to have had a nap and a snack, and you yourself, nice warm bath. Then you can come out and be like all sweet and loving with this kid. If you are sleep deprived, if you are hungry, you can't be sweet and loving with the kid. I actually nap before Shishu class, huh? That's why I'm so sweet in Shishu class. And like I said, to avoid no, allow them to do things, just being attentive, which means you have to spend way more time with them. If and when possible. So, you can't do it all the time. It's just not practical and feasible for you to be that attentive with them all the time. So you just like you allocate a corner where they can make mess, like you go there and be as messy if you can. I know Hong Kong homes are not so big, but if you can. If you can't, you can't. Then allocate a time. This is where you can go stir crazy as you want. I'm going to maintain my cool. You be as jungly as you want, you be as rowdy as you want, you be as messy as you want. And in that allocated time, I will be completely attentive. I can't do it the whole day long. And it's unrealistic to expect that you as parents will do it the whole day long. But allocate time. Half an hour. Or if it's in a week, allocate 2 hours every 3-4 days. Yeah. Where I'll just be attentive, I'll let you do as much as you want, as far as you want. Just I'll make sure you are safe. Yeah. And like I said, in that absolute attentive time, I am calm. I can't be attentive if I am not calm. This is why parenting is such a one, the hardest job, but two, it's the greatest thing you'll do. Because to be an awesome parent, you have to improve yourself. You have to become calmer. You have to become more patient. You have to become more giving. You have to be more accepting. It's such a, they forcing you to be better versions of yourselves. And without them there to inspire us, we wouldn't. But for them, we will. Because we love them so much, we will. Yeah. And so that's why they consider to be such a gift. Yeah. They push us to be better. Yeah. So coming back to, they will absorb all your habits. So like I said, with relationships, certain things, just as a couple, agree that you're not going to do in front of them. Like criticize each other, just don't do it in front of the kid. Sure, you're going to have things you want to say to each other as a couple, just don't do it in front of the kid. Yeah. Even then they'll pick up on it, huh? At least they won't hear it and they won't see it. Yeah. It's better than, it's still better if they don't hear it and they don't see it. This is all ideal case scenarios. Of course, when you're having a long day and you just want to say it, you'll say it. But if you're aware that they're going to learn it, then sometimes it helps not to say it. They also pick up what you say about everything else. So if you say anything about other family members, they know. If you have any prejudices, they learn it so fast. They learn it so fast. You'd think, how did they learn that, huh? But it was you, they were watching, they learn it. Any prejudice you have, against skin color, against religion, against anything, they'll, like this, they pick it up like this. And sometimes parents want their kids to have the same prejudices that they have. And growing up in most Hindu families, you were told, don't you dare marry a... That's a very overt prejudice when you've been told. But even if you have, that you don't actually want to have those prejudices, they still pick up on it. Like class differences, this is the maid. If you have that prejudice, they pick it up like that. So, sometimes when we say things and do things, we feel we're entitled to feel that way, say those things, do those things. But please remember, this kid, the more they feel everyone's amazing and everybody loves me, the more they feel they belong, the more confidence they have, the more inner strength they have. So if we try to, in even the minutest way, make them only love me, we're taking away from them that everyone can love me. And nobody does it consciously, but more and more I have seen people doing it subconsciously, unconsciously. Yeah. Like we want to be the most special person in their lives, and so we kind of sometimes curate their lives so that they're looking at us. But they need, one, to learn so much variety, and two, they need to feel everyone loves me. Otherwise, you'll see, even as teenagers, when we say, but you're beautiful, of course you're going to say that, you're just my mom. Yeah. So what you're saying about everyone else, also note that they're going to share it. They're going to share your opinion. And sometimes we think we're so right in our opinion, but actually it's just an opinion. Yeah. And so sometimes it's when they get a bit older, it's beneficial to say to them, maybe through stories more than serious conversations, that lots of people think in different ways. Today we do it more with stories. Like, this is one way of doing it, there's other ways of doing it. And you'll find the way that works for you. Okay, I'm going to pause. I'll let y'all ask questions so I can focus on those areas that y'all want me to talk on.
How do you sort of strike the balance between giving your child time as like a working mom, like giving your child time, but also
having kind of balance in other areas of life. Like, I find that like now my toddler is a bit older. Like when he was younger, it was a bit easier, but now he vocalizes like, "Mama, I want you to feed me dinner." If I've just come back from work and I have to head out somewhere else, like, "Okay, I want you to feed me dinner." And then I'm like, "Oh, I can't today." And then he'd be like, "Do you have to go like, for example, do you have to go exercise every day?" And like, it's kind of like that guilt. And then sometimes when you talk to your friends who are also moms, sometimes they give you advice like you can't have your child be overly dependent on you, and like I don't know how to strike that balance sometimes, you know, where like you want to give your child quality time, but you don't want them to be completely dependent on you doing that task for them every day, like putting them to sleep or like. So sometimes like, you know, you experience guilt when they get older, right? And they like tell you like, "Mama, why aren't you like feeding me dinner anymore?" Or like things like that. So like, how do you strike that balance? And when do you say, "No, I really can't do this. I have to do me," or "have to go here"? Like,
So actually the interesting thing here is the balance is not on a regular daily basis. In terms of parenting, they're not going to want this from you for very long. Very soon they're not going to want you to feed them. They're not going to want you to do things for them. They're going to be fighting you to do it themselves. So I would say, and this is a personal, there's no right, there's no wrong. My take would be, while they want it, do it. And the balance is 3 years, 4 years, where you're giving more. Maybe you don't get to do as much as your socializing, your exercising, your work, and they come first. They won't last more than 4 years, huh?
3 years, and she doesn't want
Yeah.
me to do anything. Even the bus she wants to climb by herself.
Yeah. It won't last more than 4 years. So the balance isn't one day I do it, one day I don't do it. The balance is you only got 4 years to do it. And in my experience, most parents miss it. They miss having the kid want them. Like this, they stop wanting you. And so I know today there's a lot of emphasis, but we need to, you know, when you do need time, is if you're upset and you're angry and you're going to throttle them. Don't do that. Then go off and do something. Right? But otherwise, it's very short, huh? Even though I know it is tiring. It can be physically draining to be there. And sometimes I know also, mums and dads had said it's not intellectually stimulating because they're so small and you're doing the same thing again and again. You just want some kind of intellectual stimulation. So go ahead and do that. But in terms of giving them time, it's 4 years. It's 4 years and then they don't want it anymore. Then you'll be running after them. So balance is do it while they want it. It will balance out later on when they don't want it. You'll think at least I had all those cuddles earlier. You have to average it out over 10 years. You get all your cuddles in now. Later on they won't. They don't. They'll run out the door. Where's my hug? Gone. They won't cuddle. They won't hug. They'll be too interested in their friends. So, I think it's incredibly valuable to just give them everything for those 4 years. Literally, it's 4 years.
So there's no such thing as like an
No, we're teaching them to be independent even while we're with them. So I'm here, so I don't have to put the food in their mouth. I sit with them and get them to put their food in their mouth. Come on, you can show me how you're doing it. I'm here, sweetheart. Doing it for them and being with them is very different.
Like as in like only mama can put me to sleep, or only mama.
It's not going to last, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not going to last. So, as much as you can, do it. Yes.
Just going back to your point about the whole sugar, keeping it away for as long as possible, I'm definitely pro that, right? So no sugar. But then I've had other comments from other parents saying, oh, well, you know, if you don't give them any sugar at all, when they do get that first taste of sugar, they'll go crazy.
No, well, they're going to, it's the later the,
other kids
the later the better.
Right.
No. They won't go more crazy than any other kid. At whatever stage you give it to them, and you can pretty much see the effect of the sugar on the kid, huh? You can visibly see it. They literally start bouncing. So, would you rather that at 2 or 4? 4. It's not an extra drastic when they finally have it. In fact, their brains developed. Yay. Done. Good. Yeah. Otherwise, it's built into them to have that stimulant. Already we're looking for stimulants all the time. We need our coffees, we need our this, we need our... all the time. Again, why to put it in the first 4 years? We don't need to introduce them to have a stimulant. No, it's not true. In fact, if you don't give it to them, the first time they have it, they don't like it. Just like with alcohol or cigarettes or something. And so there's a hope before they get socialized. And some kids don't, huh? Some kids actually don't like candies and chocolates and cakes. Then that's awesome. Not too many. And they get socialized. Birthday parties is the worst culprit. They get socialized into liking sweets. Yeah. We should do more birthday parties with dokla cakes.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, lots of them do. Lots of people do.
Is it common for the first child to be more attached to the mom than the second one?
Vasanas and personality. No. Kid will be more attached to mom, more attached to dad, depending on vasanas.
Is vasana something like
We're born with it. We can slowly change it, but not always easy to change. Vasanas. Vasanas are the things we are born with, like our previous life karmas, our aptitude. You definitely get mommy's girl, mommy's boy, daddy's girl, daddy's boy. You could definitely get that. Yeah, and that's just personality. Just a need that they need to fulfill. Some need that more. Sometimes it's a personality click between the mom and the kid. And sometimes it's just the need to feel nurtured, soft. Yeah. But sometimes it's actually a personality click, huh? It's not whether it's mom or it's dad. It's this personality works. No. No, but the oldest kid tends to be a little bit more highly strung and definitely way more responsible in life. I'm not the oldest kid. The smallest, the one that gets babied, whether the second one or the third one, just whole life tends to get babied only. Even will end up marrying an oldest kid who will baby them. It's interesting, huh? But not always, because there's 3 of us. I have 2 siblings. My brother's the youngest. He never got babied. He's not the baby. He's extremely responsible. So I think it's also how much the parents baby the younger one. Like if you baby them, they stay baby. And they like being babied, huh? The youngest ones. Because I know families where when the third one comes along, the second one gets very upset. No, like I'm not the baby anymore. I want it to be the baby. Yeah, I'm the middle. You get over middle child syndrome. So, no. If one kid is more attached to one parent, it's fine. It's just what they need. That's why you need lots of people. That's why you need to have lots of kids also. Then you don't feel so bad if one kid gets one attached to one parent.
My daughter is like going through this like baby to toddler phase, and she's like learning feelings. So there are times where she'll like be laughing or she'll be upset. How do I deal with, like, how do I go about it?
Just whatever she's feeling at that moment's fine, and you
Don't react?
no, you can. If she's upset, nurture.
Okay.
If she's happy, be happy with her. Yeah. If it's an explorative thing, you'll totally allow it. If she's playing you, don't allow it.
Distracting.
Yes.
So you said don't say no, right?
Just,
And to distract, right?
well, it's not possible not to say
I
no.
understand that, but I have a question. So she has a little small plastic chair, and sometimes she likes to stand on the chair, right? And I would want to say no, right? But I just go to her right away, and I'm just trying to carry and put her off right away,
Yeah.
you know? But what if I'm a little further away? I have to say no, right? Like what? Or distract, but like
I
in
know,
that- if
I know it's
unsafe-
hard not to say
but if
no.
it's an
It's
unsafe
you're never
situation-
gonna not. There's no parent that doesn't say no. But you know, sometimes we overdo it. Like, and we say it like we just keep saying it. Like they'll reach for it, no. They'll reach again, no. They'll reach again. I said no. Right? Just take it away. You're gonna say no. You're 100% going to say no.
Just try and say this as little as possible.
Minimize it. So if you can move something, move it. If you can move them, move them. If you can distract, distract. If you have to say no, you say no.
So say if she's upset, then I just like speak to her and be like,
Yeah, you reassure. Yeah, you're fine. Everything's fine. Mommy's here.
right.
You reassure. But check if you are upset. Or check if you were in the day upset. Because sometimes you over it, but they've picked it up and they don't know how to get over it. Yeah. Because we adults, right? We've already maneuvered and learnt everything, and they're still learning. Yeah. But yeah, you reassure. When they're upset, you reassure. Yeah. At this age, we give them everything they need. Till 4. And then discipline starts. Even now, some discipline is there, but it's not a consequence kind of discipline. Like when you remove them from a situation, that is discipline, but it's not a scolding.
I'm going to ask about like reading to children, like
Reading to them, it's
so
awesome.
not raising them.
Raising them.
Like obviously, I consciously try to be as fair as possible. And
Or when they fight.
when they fight, just anything, like with my time, my energy,
Of course, yes.
everything. Just like any tips around that, because I've seen like in my like just seen around me, like when there's a favorite, how that plays out.
Yeah.
Like anything.
Do you have a favorite? Then you're fine.
But the family has.
Yeah. Make the family aware.
I try.
Yeah,
But
then
is
you
it
can't do
possible-
more.
Sorry, is it possible to have a favorite?
It
and
is
not
a
know
family.
it? Because today I realized I took my elder one to the football class.
No,
and
if you
then
have a favorite, you'll know it.
I took her to the football class, and then I realized that my younger one goes to football every Wednesday. But the day my elder one started going, I wanted to go then. But I never felt it that way for the younger one. I felt so bad. I felt so bad about it. And I don't know if
Yeah. Well, all parents are slightly biased to the older one. Yeah.
But I felt so bad about it.
It's okay. We get over it.
And to add to it, she was sitting with Shanti and she was not coming to me, and I felt that she understands what is happening.
No, that's her reading you. She could feel you were feeling bad. She didn't, or maybe she's smart enough.
And the coach was same. The coach will be like, "What kind of mom is this? Like, I've never seen you before."
I don't think favorites, it could happen, right? It could happen. Or sometimes their personalities are different. You need to go because one's personality needs you to be there. The other one's personality is a bit better, and it's not favorites. But if you do have a favorite, it's painful for the person who's the favorite. It's painful for the person who's not the favorite, and it's painful for you. So, can work on not having a favorite if you become aware of having one. And if you don't have a favorite, you're fine. You don't have to overcompensate. So that's also, like I was saying yesterday, each kid's journey is, maybe I said that on the first day. Each child is born with a journey. And so if you're born being the oldest, that's usually your journey. You're born with the second one, with everyone giving the oldest attention, that's your journey. So, but if they know with you there's no favorite, they'll be fine. Nani, Nana might have favorite. Dadi, Dada might have favorite. Because first one does tend to steal everyone's heart. As an adult, I understood that. Because when the first one's born, you became a parent. When the second one's born, you're not a parent. You're already a parent. When the first one's born, you become a grandparent. When the second one's born, you're already a grandparent. And so there is a little bit more invested in that first one. But it's also more pressure on the first one, huh? The first one always feels more pressure to make everybody happy, to make everyone proud. So there's perks of being the first one by getting more attention, but there's also pressure on the first one. So then it kind of balances out. The second one, nobody's got so much pressure on you. You're kind of like, oh, okay, I can do whatever I want to. And if I do well, they get so impressed. Yay! If I don't do well, they didn't expect me to do well. So there's perks. There's. So don't feel too bad. But you reassure them. And you being mum, reassuring is enough. Even though they might cry and complain and whine. As time goes, you reassuring is enough. It's a journey.
When, like you said, distract instead of discipline, but I find like after the age of 3, they're like quite clever and like quite smart. Like, I don't know if the distraction's like enough in certain situations. Like I feel like sometimes like I really need to explain why.
No, you can't explain to a 3-year-old.
No?
Nah. I know y'all do, and I've seen y'all do it, and I laugh because they don't understand anything. No. They can parrot. They'll repeat and they'll answer exactly what you want they know to be the right answer, but they don't understand it.
But then you can't just, okay, I'll give you an example, particular examples in my mind when like, I think when my son first learned how to lock doors, because like he was quite fascinated with the whole lock system on the door, right? So when he first learned how to lock doors, first he kind of went into the bathroom and he just locked the door, because that's the easiest lock. So that was the first time. So I was very calm and I knew how to open it myself. So I was like, okay, whatever, who cares? Like, it's fine. He doesn't know what he's doing. So I just made sure to keep him close to the door, and I opened it. I didn't make a big deal out of it. And then like a few weeks later, he did it again. But this time I couldn't get the door to open so easily. So I was kind of freaking out a little bit. And then, I mean, I think like at that point I was wondering like I should say something to him, right? It's not enough to just distract because he's going to do it again then, right? Like doesn't he need to understand that this is really not a good idea? Because
he doesn't have the cognitive skill to understand. But he himself would have been really scared.
He wasn't. He was laughing. That's why I was like, I think I need to say something because he doesn't understand this could be actually really dangerous. Because he's just doing it for fun, right? He's a kid. Oh, I've just learned how to lock the door. Like, I don't see what's so dangerous in this.
We think they understand, but they don't. They don't understand.
What do you distract in that situation? Like, I don't understand the concept in that situation.
You remove the lock.
The bathroom, that sounds like a problem.
Anyway, not much longer to go. From 4 onwards you can. 4.5, you start disciplining. So not much longer to go. Cognition is starting to kick in. But in a way, we underestimate them by knowing how smart they are because they're manipulating you. And in a way, we overestimate them because they don't have, so they have intelligence, but they don't have subtle cognition of action, consequence. That connect hasn't formed at 3. Or this could be dangerous. They don't have that understanding at 3. It's that cognitive skill that's just not yet there. So they have emotional reactions to things rather than cognitive reactions to things. I don't know if I've explained that well.
Yeah, you have. But like I still don't see, like for example, in a situation like that, what do I do after? Like, okay, he just comes out of the bathroom and I continue to play?
Yeah.
Or like, do I have a conversation?
So you don't try and correct, you don't try and think, you just distract or remove from this, like...
If you have a conversation and if he was laughing, he's going to do it again because he got a reaction out of you.
He was laughing when he was in the bath, but he wasn't scared because he doesn't know what the situation is, right? Like in my mind, I'm thinking, oh my God, like a bathroom's a place that's kind of wet, he may fall, he may bump his head on everything. Like, you know, a bathroom's just not the safest place, right? So like, but he doesn't have that fear because he's a child, right? So then
No, and we don't want him to have the fear. We don't want them to have fear. We want them to be confident, to be able to solve things, not be scared that something's going to happen to them.
Yeah, I understand. I guess I just didn't know what to do in that situation. It's like, he just got bad, he played, like nothing happened.
Nothing happens.
Doesn't he need to
Not
do
at
it?
that
It's
age.
important. Okay.
Yeah, if he keeps doing it,
Okay.
and then if it's a pattern, then you'd say something.
Yeah, it was a phase. I think he just needed to try. Like, oh,
Exactly.
What is this? Okay,
They
fine,
just
we knocked it
explore
over.
it,
Yeah,
right?
nothing happened. I'm done with this game. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why. So if you react, he'll do it. It's natural that they're going to explore. If there's a pattern, then you can do something. Yeah. Also, you must remember, like I was saying, we don't want to teach them our fears. We don't want to teach them our fears. We're not scared to go into a bathroom. We don't want to make them just be scared to go into a bathroom. Okay. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhavet Asato Ma Satkamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om